Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet Talk Radio. And we are brought to you by SIR at sir-usa.com. That's where all the cool musicians get their gear when they go out on tour. And if you need some gear, whether you're a company or you're a musician and you're playing a gig, a backline, front of the house, it doesn't matter. You can get your gear from SIR. And then if you want to buy it, own it, and live with it and love it, you can get it from Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com, where they just want you to play it loud. And today is a great day because we have a very, very, very talented, exceptional artist here with us. Mr. Jesse Cook, are you there, sir?
I'm here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Hey, Jesse, how's it going, brother? You are a busy man lately. Out on tour?
I know. I think we're going to do in excess of 100 dates this year, probably. I'm guessing maybe 130, 150. It's hard to say.
Wow, man.
We never know until the end. Yeah, I know.
Crazy. And you've done and accomplished so many different things. You've sold over 1.5 million records, and you are, just a tremendous talent. And when first segments, I usually like to start off with, how did you get started in this business? What inspired you to take this route?
Well, it depends which part of the journey you want to focus on. Like when I was a little kid, it was my parents' record collection. My mom had had a huge stereo in our house and a huge record collection, and for some reason my sister and I just kind of run free on the thing, and she wasn't worried about us scratching up her old records or anything. And
that's awesome.
So I got, I fell in love with, the Beatles, but also she had these Manitas de Platas records. He was like this gypsy guitar player from the south of France, who later I would learn is actually he's kind of a controversial figure, because he really didn't really play by the rules. He kind of made things up a lot and didn't learn flamenco properly or any of that stuff. But he had this sound that as a kid totally captivated me, and I loved it, and I used to run around the house. I had this little toy guitar, and I'd strum and sing, Guantanamera, and then when I guess when I actually decided I was going to get serious about the guitar, because I played through my childhood. I studied classical, and then I studied jazz.
Yeah.
But at the end of high school, I was actually thinking I was going to be an artist, like a visual artist.
Because that's what your folks did, right?
Well, yeah. Well, my whole family, they're full of artsy-fartsies. My cousin was a ballerina with the National Ballet of Canada. My dad was a film director. My mother was a television director. What else? My uncle is a famous visual artist. And I thought I was going into visual art. I thought I was going to pursue that path. And I had applied to Parsons School of Design in New York. But my girlfriend at the time, one day, and I thank God she did this, she took me aside and she said, your music is really good. Your art, not so much. You might want to consider it. And I think,
that's
honestly,
a good girl right there, to tell you the truth, yeah.
Oh, exactly. I know. But she saved me from a life of, being a really mediocre visual artist, I think. And also music is just more fun. I mean, it's a really fun way to spend your life, and I'm very thankful.
Yeah, definitely. And you got a chance to get mentored a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, by one of the Gypsy Kings, the leaders of the Gypsy Kings. Is that correct?
Yeah, mentor is probably too strong a word, but I've heard. I think people, when they put it in press releases and things, I think they really play it up like, we practically lived together.
He was your second father, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, he was like my dad's neighbor, Nicholas Reyes of the Gypsy Kings,
yeah.
and he was one of the singers. He wasn't even one of the good guitarists, but they would have parties at their place, and one night I ended up at a gypsy jamboree up on their roof, and pulling out the guitar. And I mean, understand, at that point I was living in Canada, but this was in my summer vacation while I was visiting my dad in the south of France, and to have that kind of experience, where you're sort of suddenly surrounded by gypsies in the south of France, and everybody's playing the guitar in this really kind of amazing, unique way that they do in that part of the world. It was kind of eye-opening for me. I mean, I loved that sound, but I'd never been that close to it up until that point. So it was pretty fun. But from there, I went to Berklee School of Music, which is a big jazz school in Boston. And I studied traditional flamenco. So there was more kind of real schooling going on. I don't want to say real schooling, but more kind of traditional academic schooling going on, which, of course, later I tried to forget all of that stuff.
Yeah. Now you've got a unique, like you mentioned before about the player that kind of inspired you when you were a kid. You've got a unique sound and a flavor because you blend a lot of stuff. How did you come up with that?
Well, it's funny. I come from three schools of music. As a kid, I studied classical for years, and I was, I kind of became pretty familiar with that world and doing guitar competitions and all that. And then I studied jazz for years and went to Berklee, and then over the years I've been to Spain many times, and I've been studying flamenco for years. And of all those three traditions, I love them all. But very quickly I realized that, they're almost like religions, that once you're inside one of those music forms, there's a whole set of rules that you've got to live by, and things that are right to do in music and wrong to do in music. And I just found I didn't really want to kind of abide by any of those rules. I kept feeling like music is an art form, and art is something creative. You got to make something new. You learn from the past, but then you got to forge a new direction. And if music doesn't change, it dies. It's got to constantly evolve. And so my career has really been about trying to bring something new to the form. Take the weird way that I'm playing the guitar, which is already kind of a hybrid of those, three backgrounds. And lately, I've been also loving Django Reinhardt style, kind of gypsy jazz. But taking those styles of music and pushing them into places I hadn't heard them before, whether that's, going to Cairo for the album Nomad and working with musicians there, or for the Rumba Foundation, I went down to Colombia and recorded with musicians there. And, on this record, on One World, I was working with electronic loops and all sorts of, and Bollywood string sections and, just anything. It's kind of like making a soup. You take your favorite ingredients and throw them in the soup and say, what can I make? Can I come up with something I haven't tasted before?
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Is there are there any other genres that you kind of want to explore and kind of try to mix in that you haven't done yet?
I think there's tons. That's the beauty of world music, is that it's a big world out there. And even if you feel like, for many years now, I've been mixing what I do with Brazilian rhythms. But, a few years ago, I realized there's a whole sort of there's a whole family of or school of Brazilian music I hadn't even known existed, which is maracatu. Which is a different way of playing the drums, different kinds of rhythms, different sounds, different kind of emotional content, and I sort of feel like, I've always wanted to do an India album, go off to India. I wanted to do an album for a long time. I wanted to do an album of duets. It's one of those things where, there's always projects that I think, gee, I'd love to do that. And then eventually I'll get around to it. There's just so many to do. And I take a long time to make records. It seems like it takes me about 2.5 to 3 years between albums to kind of, pull it all together to make the next one.
Well, you're out on tour all the time, man. You got to find that time, unless you bring on along your studio, which you can nowadays. Obviously, you were just recently here in San Diego, and you killed it down here, and you are definitely the traveling man. You've been on TV and all these different things. We've got about 1 minute and 45 seconds left here. What are some of the on tour? Give me like a memory that's like sticks in your mind right now that you want to share with the audience.
Of being on tour?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. Actually, I have to say San Diego has been really a fun place to tour over the years. When I first started, my first big break, I made the first album, Tempest, just for fun. You know, I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, you should do it." You know, and I manufactured the first 1,000 myself, and I thought, I'll never sell them. They'll be in my basement for the rest of my life. And they sold out in the first week, and then I signed to Narada, which is an American label, and they got me into the Catalina Jazz Festival. And all the way along, I kept kind of shooting the whole process down. I was saying, no one's going to want to see me live. Maybe they want to listen to it on their stereo, but why would they want to come live, you know? And we played it at Catalina, and the thing kind of exploded on us. We were just playing in a little bar downstairs at the Catalina Jazz Festival, and suddenly the bar was packed and people wouldn't leave. We were supposed to only play during the intermission, and at the end of the intermission, people wouldn't go back up to the show they were there for. They would just stay down the bar, and they were dancing and asking for encore after encore. And by the end of that weekend, you know, we felt like we're the Beatles. We were being chased around the island by people in golf carts, you know, and then my sister, who lived in San Diego, I guess because a lot of those people at the festival had just driven up from San Diego. My sister, who lived in San Diego, sort of thought that her brother was this huge star because at first it was only in San Diego people actually knew who I was, you know, and we were being played on the radio there and all that stuff. So it was kind of fun for a while. It didn't really translate. You go to New York and knew who I was back then, but at least my sister thought I was a big deal, which is always important.
Well, that is awesome. Hey, we're going to go to a commercial break, Jesse, so we're going to have you stay tuned, as well as the rest of the folks that are listening here. This has been the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk radio. We are brought to you by Pitbull at pitbullaudio.com and SIR at SIR-USA.com. Stay tuned because we got more exciting stories from the road and from the studio and from the career of Jesse Cook at Jesse Cook Takeover here on the Changing Stage Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
In the military, things can change in an instant. At Navy Mutual Aid Association, we understand because it's our life too. That's why our dedication to serving the life insurance needs of our military veterans and their families is unrivaled. Navy Mutual offers superior life insurance protection without military service restrictions and limitations. A single focus on providing the peace of mind military families are looking for. That's what we do. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve. Call 800-628-6011 or go to NavyMutual.org.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect. Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are back for the second segment of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in internet talk radio. Thanks to Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com for making all these segments available. And I want to give a shout out to our sister show, Girls Talk Rock, who is on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You got to check that show out. They'll be having Dale Bosio from the Missing Persons on in the very near future, so stay tuned. We'll be telling you more about that. And we are here with Jesse Cook Take Over today. Jesse, we're back with you.
Hey,
hey,
nice to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Oh man, it's our great pleasure. You know definitely you got a phenomenal story with the things that you've done, and we were just talking in this last segment about the passions, how you kind of got inspired. You moved from a visual world to that audio world, and we are definitely thankful for your girlfriend for telling you to do some music because that's where you belong. So and. You've had some, you had that explosion in Catalina of your music, and your sister was very proud of her brother. You've since played with some great people. Tell us about some of the artists that you've had a chance to work with and that have contributed to your music, and you've contributed to theirs.
Oh man, over the years, I feel very fortunate. I mean, I've shared the stage with people who are absolute heroes to me. I mean, people like B.B. King or Ray Charles or Diana Krall, or the list goes on and on. I've invited over the years. I've invited guests who are heroes, and some of them are very well known internationally. Some of them not so much, but they're still kind of musical legends. You know what I mean? Like whether we're talking about Zydeco, who I think is pretty well known as in the world of Zydeco accordion and all that, or guys who are lesser known unless you're in that circle, like Javan Gasparian, who is the god of the Armenian duduk, which you sort of go, what? The what duduk? But the Armenian duduk is actually it's one of the oldest instruments on the planet that is still being played today. It's like 3,000-year-old instrument. It's like the great-great-grandfather of the saxophone. Although I don't honestly get a Kenny G vibe from it, I will say that. It's this beautiful kind of haunting ghost-like thing, and I'd heard it the first time on a Peter Gabriel record, and I had no idea what it was, and I did some digging, found out it was this guy, and called him up, and asked him if he wanted to do something together, and thankfully he said yes. So we did the recording. And
now, did you do that in Armenia, or did you do that here in the States?
Sadly, I did it, over the internet, as so many things are done nowadays, right? Where you record in your studio and you send the files off digitally across the Ethernet or into the World Wide Web, and then miraculously back comes an audio file of his playing on your song, and. Who else? I'm just trying to think. So many over the years. Again, some that are like jazz legends, like Flora Purim, who's this Brazilian jazz diva. Monse Cortez, not known probably in America, but in Spain, she's a huge flamenco hero. She was like the hottest singer in flamenco in those days when we recorded. There was a super group called Afro-Celt Sound System, which is kind of a Peter Gabriel or a real world super group that came out of that. Peter Gabriel kind of world music scene from the 90s. I know I'm forgetting a million people. But
am I correct when you worked with Tommy Emmanuel?
That's right. Just on this last record, I invited him to play a track with me, and again, he agreed. I was really thrilled. He's
amazing.
It's funny because I've done this a lot over the years, where you work with other people, and as I said, often you just sort of email off your track and let them go wild on it, and people will send you back maybe a few different takes, and then you kind of take the things you like from those takes and make one perfect take. And usually when I do, most people will send back 3 takes that are actually pretty similar. You know what I mean? That there's subtle variations, different nuances here and there, but they're kind of 3 different takes that are pretty much the same, and you just decide which one sounds the best. Whereas with Tommy, he's kind of like a musical tap. You know what I mean? You open the tap and bam, music just starts coming out of that thing. And you just and I'm not sure how you turn it off either, because he sent me 3 takes. And they were all completely different. A completely different point of view, like he's throwing George Benson stuff where he's scatting over his playing. He's throwing in these crazy fast licks. He's sending me soulful things, reharmonized things. I mean, just like really crazy how many different ideas. And I bet he could have done that all day. You know what I mean? I bet he could have sent me 50 takes and they'd all be totally unique. He's like the fountain of music, that guy. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot of my guitar friends. In fact, even very well-known ones. John Christ, that's his hero. John Christ played metal, considered one of the greatest metal players of all time, and that's his hero, Tommy Emmanuel. So kind of is a testament to his, the flavors that he can do. So, and that's now, and you've, like you said, you've toured with so many of these great, awesome talents. Tell us about one of those ones, like when you were with B.B. King, because that's a different flavor for than obviously the music can transcends any style. But what was that like when you were get on stage for the first time, opening in a blues type of environment?
Yeah, it's funny because he was, I loved B.B. King. I grew up on his records because my parents had them. My dad was a huge B.B. King fan, and I when I met B.B. King, he was in his, I'm going to say late 70s. I think it was his late 70s, he was slowing down by then. He had to sit down to play. And, he couldn't sing the same way as he probably had when he was younger. But he was still a regal presence. You know what I mean? That you met the guy and you met, and you, even sitting down, he just held the audience. It was like, that great grandfatherly figure. The whole audience just felt like they were in the presence of, this guy. And meeting him backstage, I remember, I was just probably, yet another musician who had opened for him in his eyes. And he probably did, he didn't have to say anything to me, but I went up to him and I said, I just wanted to tell you, what a huge fan my dad was of yours. And I'm really, I'm sorry that he couldn't be here today to meet you in person. And B.B. King, he was so nice. He sort of said, well, listen, you tell your father from me, I'm really sorry I missed him, and I just thought it was and it was so heartfelt. And I'm sure, I don't know, he probably gets it all the time, but it really touched me. I really thought, what a sweet guy. And then actually, I want to say, Ray Charles, who was also a similar age when I opened for Ray, he was 78, and he was like the record. I mean, I don't know how he did it, but he hadn't lost anything. And even the sound they got, like, they didn't sound check. We were there sound checking in the afternoon, doing the best job we could. They just showed up for the show 20 minutes before they were on stage. You know what I mean? They set up their drums, they set up a bass amp and a guitar amp, and then Ray up in front with a piano. I think they just used 2 overheads for the band. You know what I mean? Like maybe a kick drum mic and then 2 overheads. Yeah, it was kind of crazy simple setup, but it sounded like the record. I mean, maybe that's how they recorded those things back then. You got chills. So I actually sat on the back of the stage when he was playing just to kind of soak it in, because it sounded so good. He sounded amazing, and I don't know how that happens. I mean, how is it that you get to 78 and you're still in absolutely the best sort of artistic form of your life? I don't know.
Well, we're gonna have to you back on the show when you're 78. We're gonna talk about that then. Because I know that you're going to be doing it still then, man.
I'll be trying. I don't know about doing it, but I'll be trying.
Oh, I'm sure you will, man, because your talent transcends. Like I said, that's the very sheer fact that you can move and maneuver into different genres and then blend other ones in gives you a longevity that I think will carry more than a lifetime here. We got about 50 seconds left. Let's kind of bring in some of the ways people can find out about you, your URLs, all that fun stuff. Well, how can they find out about you?
Well, other than the regular sort of www.jessecook.com or www.me.com, as I like to call it, there's my personal favorite is our Facebook page, which I'm actively involved at. Like, if people want to see, I post videos of us backstage jamming. I post photos from the road. It just, people want to sort of follow us as we are sort of going along on our tour and see stuff. That's the best place to go, and it's Jesse Cook on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, we are going to be coming right back to you for the third segment. Stay tuned because we're going to be playing some tracks from the new album. And this has been the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the Mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet talk radio. Make sure you go check out SIR at SIR-USA.com. Also, you can go to The Changing Stage at thechangingstage.com. And get some of our archives on the WS Radio Networks. And we do have a Facebook as well at The Changing Stage. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in a few short minutes. And this has been The Changing Stage Radio Show.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID Communications.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
And we are back for the third segment of the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks. And we want to give a big shout out to Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com, where they just want you to play it loud. And Calvin and the crew will make sure they're taking care of you on any gear that you want to get. And we are here with Jesse Cook Takeover today. Jesse, you're back with us.
Hello.
Hey. So,
hey.
Jesse, you've got a great new album that's come out called One World. And, it's all a buzz on the internet. I've seen a lot of the posts from your fans and everyone's digging it. We're going to play a few tracks from that so that people can kind of get a little taste. They definitely got to go out and buy the album, but they can hear it here right now on WS Radio Networks. We're going to start off with that One World track, Shake. Can you tell us a bit about that and kind of cue that up, maybe, one of the points that's kind of memorable for you when you recorded that?
Shake is one of those tunes where I just wanted something that is really fun and kind of, I think I'm well known for the kind of rumba flamenco where you've got, those sort of driving guitars under what you're doing, but I always love having some kind of crazy, unidentifiable percussion, and so I think on this one we ended up pulling out some pots and pans to play underneath it. You know what I mean? To kind of create a bit of a loop with them and just see what that would get us. And I don't know. There's just something fun about that for me when it's like, what is that? It's groovy. It sounds funky, but I have no idea what it is. Or maybe you do. Maybe you go, is that a pot?
I'm going to have to re-listen to that track, man, and hear that. So, for sure.
All right.
Go ahead and kick it off, Mr. Paul Berezetsky, our show producer. Awesome. You got your pots and pans going on in there, Mr. Jesse Cook.
Could you hear it? Did you identify it?
Yeah, I could hear a lot of stuff. In fact, in your video, if you folks want to check out the video to that's on YouTube. And you got a lot of percussionists and a lot of crazy things, very organic looking video. You've got, definitely, it's a very cool one. So they got to check that out.
Oh, thanks.
And
I made that one myself. For those people who love DIY, I actually I shot that video just kind of for fun. I had a few days off at home after a tour, and I thought, let me make a video and edited it. It was really fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
So your girlfriend was wrong. You actually are really good at visual as well as music.
well, you know what I find is that the visual, like photography and video and all that stuff, there's no pressure there because, like, nobody really is going to think that I'm some great video maker or some world famous photographer. So I can just do it and have as much fun as I want with it. And if people like it, that's great. But it's not like with music. The more attention my music gets, the more I start to feel that pressure. Like, oh, this has got to be really good. I can't just throw this off. You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, it was really cool. Like I said, it's got guys playing the bottles and cans and kind of the I don't know what I would call it, but like the GoPro angles that you had where it's kind of the wraparound visual. So that's really cool.
Yeah, the fisheye.
Yeah, the fisheye. And the next track we have is Bombay Slam. Tell us a bit about that.
This is one of those tunes where I sort of put all my favorite elements into one song. So I've got like kind of a Bootsy Collins, James Brown kind of line in it. There's a bit of a Parliament funkadelic synth sound in there. There's like a slam and drum loop, and then you've got Indian sitar and a Bollywood string section. Those Bollywood movies where they have those crazy string sections that are kind of cheesy but kind of cool at the same time. And I threw that in there, and it's like all my favorite food stuck in a big jambalaya. There you go.
All right, we're gonna get a little taste of jambalaya here with Bombay Slam. Take it away, Paul. That was Bombay Slam, a little funky mix there. Hey, I got a question for you. Is that an 808 that you use for the kick?
Nowadays, it's so hard to say because the 808 sound is so ubiquitous, and any sample library that you get is going to have that sound. So it's definitely not a real 808. I had one back in the 80s. I owned one, and I loved it.
Don't you wish you had it right now?
Totally wish I. Yeah, they got to be worth gold now. You could probably get them minted, and they wouldn't change their value.
Yeah. They're definitely worth a lot.
The funny thing is, I remember when the 909 came out, and everybody tossed their 808s like, oh, the 909, that's the one.
Yeah.
Not realizing, no, there's something about that 808. It's still, people still love it today. Here we are. What is it? 3-4 decades later?
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. I had a TB, or I had somebody who's going to give me a TB 303 to go with my 606. And I said, I'll never use that. Now that thing's actually the most expensive out of everything. So it's kind of crazy how that works out.
Oh yeah.
So the gear is definitely, and I love the sound of that, man. It is, like you said, it kind of brings back kind of almost a soundtrack kind of feel, but it's funky. It really is. It moves, man.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome here, sir. And then this last track we're going to play out is Once. Cue that one up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is, we've played you the funky, fun tunes. This is the sort of dark side of me, for what it's worth. This is one of those, it's one of the sadder songs. And I don't know why. I've always loved the melancholy tunes. You know what I mean? Like, I love those records, the melancholy records, you know, when you put them on and every track on the record has that tinge of sadness. And it's not that I want to be sad, but I just love those records where it feels like there's this longing that goes through the whole record. And, you know, Once is one of those tunes.
All right, here it is, kicking in Once. Been listening to Once on the album One World. We'll be right back. This is The Changing Stage.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at which.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Which.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are into the fourth and final segment of the Changing Stage radio show today, brought to you by SIR at SIR-USA.com. That's where all the great players get their gear. In fact, I'm sure Jesse's used them from time to time here in the U.S. when it comes down to any of the amplified stuff he uses. Jesse, you're there, sir?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I am.
And you have.
I think everybody has. I think, that's the place to go.
Yeah, it is definitely, for sure. Now, we just listened to this great, at least a few cuts of the great album. There's a whole lot more. You guys got to go out and buy it. Make sure you go to jessecook.com and check it out. With that said, what's next? You're launching this album. Are you still on tour? I know that you're having a little break right now, but are you going back out, or what's the next steps?
Oh, yeah. No, we tour in little bite-sized chunks. I know there are bands out there who kiss their families goodbye and they go out on the road for 6 months or a year or whatever, and I think if I did that, I'd go back and all the locks would be changed on my house. My clothes would be on the front lawn. You know what I mean? Like, there'd be some man sleeping in my bed. It just wouldn't be good. So
that would not be good, man.
No. So we sleep. We go out like 3 weeks at a time. We come home, sometimes only for a few days, and then we go out again.
Oh, that's good.
And we've been doing that since the spring when this album came out, and then we're going to continue doing that almost right up to Christmas. But we'll be the couple months we'll be in Canada, and then next spring it's all U.S. We'll be touring all over the United States. So the people down there will have lots of chance to come out and see us if they want to. Hopefully we'll get close to where you live.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully you get back down here to San Diego. Is your sister still live down here?
No, she left a long time ago. She was her husband was in biotech, I guess. He worked for a biotech company down there, which I guess was a big deal back then. I don't know if that's still going on, but it was back then.
It still is. The biotech is huge.
Right.
A lot of different industries over here that have to do with technology. Obviously, Qualcomm's a big one down here, stuff like that. So, and then we broadcast all over the world. So we're in everyone's heads.
so that's great.
And are you going to be waiting a couple of years before you do another album, or can we expect something that's a little bit more, more recent than that?
I think it's probably about a year and a half away, to be, honest with myself, because I'd like to think another one will come out within the year, but I know I have. The problem is that I wear all the hats. I'm not very good at delegating. I write the music. I play most of the instruments. I arrange it. I produce it. I record it myself, mix it myself. The only thing I don't do is master. I'm smart enough to realize there are other people who do that way better than I do. But it's one of those things. I love all of those different hats. I love those different parts of the artistic process. So because I do them all, it just takes me much longer than I think it. I remember for a while I was being managed by the same manager who managed Diana Krall, and I was working on an album, Nomad, which took me 2.5 years to make. And I remember halfway through I get a call from my manager saying, "Oh, Diana's going into the studio this week," and I said, "Oh, great, wish her luck," And then the next week I get a call from him saying, "Yeah, she's finished her record, it's coming out in a month," And I was just like, "What? How does this happen? Why don't I play other people's songs, jazz standards, with other musicians and other people recording it and mixing it?" Anyway, but somehow it's just not how I do things. So this is my fate.
We will sell no Jesse Cook music before it's time. That's how it goes. For those folks who remember that commercial, was that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. Orson Welles. That was Paul Masson wine.
You remember it well.
I love that one. Yeah.
So now that you're wearing all these hats, and this industry is so crazy, and it's kind of a good segue. What are some of the challenges that you've faced with how it is now with most people are still trying to figure out how to make it in this business that have been doing it for many years, because it's a different beast than it was back when you first started?
Honestly, I think that I don't know what the new paradigm is. I don't think anybody does. It's a moving target anyway. There is no sort of new paradigm. But I will say this, that, when I first started, you were really, you had to answer to the record companies. The record companies had a huge amount of say in terms of what was going to happen next in your career, whether you'd even make another record.
Yeah.
But they also gave you a lot of help in getting that record out there. Whereas I think today, as a musician, you have a lot more personal power. You can decide if you want to make a record yourself, and the technology is there that you could, in fact, do it, on your laptop. And it wouldn't cost you $1 million. And also you can get the word out, on the internet yourself, but, you end up having to do a lot more work yourself and learning about things that maybe you didn't plan on learning about. Myself, I'm lucky in that I love making these videos and things, so I actually have things that I want to share online, that I want to post online. But, I realize not all musicians have that interest, and for them, sometimes it's an obstacle, sort of going, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to post? But, that you need to actually communicate with your fans, have something to say other than music, or at least, share it. Even if you just take your cell phone, I don't think you need, sort of high production value for the internet. I don't think the internet expects that of you. It's enough just to take your phone and tape yourself singing or playing something, but you got to kind of communicate with your fans, for sure.
Yeah, I think sometimes now some of these YouTube stars, if they had a high production, value with their videos, they wouldn't be as attractive. That in your home on your laptop camera, and you playing and being intimate, and some of those are actually are high production values. They do that with intent. They come back around. Yeah. A friend of mine was telling me about the guys in Dirty Loops, where their first tracks that they were doing, it made it look like they were playing live, and that the sound was captured at that moment. And from what they were saying, that the guys were saying, no, we had to go back and we recorded all this stuff. It was all pre-produced, and we basically shot the video like it was like that. So it definitely is a different world.
Oh yeah.
And do you find yourself, not to get into your financial resolve there, but do you find yourself making more on the albums or in the touring process now?
Oh, yeah. There's no question. I actually enjoyed the last 5 years of the record industry era. The sort of 5 years before downloading became a thing, from 2005 to 2000, and in those periods, I was not sort of charting as high as I chart today when an album came out, but was selling probably, 10, 20 times as many CDs. It's a kind of funny thing. I had a record called The Rumba Foundation, which was #1 in Canada on the iTunes World Music Chart for a year. It held the #1 spot. And by the end of that year, it still hadn't been certified gold. Because, that's just, people don't, they don't shop for music anymore. They just expect to get it for free. And that, it's one of those things where those of us who experienced it the other way sort of think, hey, wait a minute, but this is my job, and are they stealing? But that ship has sailed. I mean, lamenting that doesn't really serve us in any way.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
the new paradigm is, in the old days, you would lose money on your tour to promote your album sales. Now you lose money on making an album in order to promote your tour. And that's how we do it.
Somebody told me they were talking to, I think it was Verdine White of Earth, Wind & Fire, and, they were saying, well, why do you guys keep doing CDs, because there's really no money in it anymore. They said, well, CD's the new calling card. That's what that makes you say, hey, look, I'm still in business. I'm doing this. I'm not just some, passe recording artist that was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that we're still doing it. And that made sense. You put these things out and you make these things more so that you can promote the brand. Well, that music tells me that we are at the end of our show, Jesse. I really appreciate you, brother. This has been very illuminating and a great conversation, bro. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
This has been the Changing Stage Radio Show. Make sure you tune in next week. We've got another great show, and also Girls Talk Rock on Wednesdays. Make sure you tune in there. And Pitbull and SR, thanks.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Progressive Medical.
Hey, this is Heidi Rue, and Progressive Medical Center has literally changed my life and my health, but I'm not the only one. Adele suffered from bone deterioration, bone overgrowth, profound muscle discomfort, physical exhaustion, and mental fog. In fact, the bone deterioration becomes so serious that she had to have back surgery. Well, after the surgery, she still didn't feel well, and so that's when she heard about Progressive Medical Center. Progressive Medical Center discovered that her adrenals weren't working properly, her hormones were out of whack, and the drugs she had been taking were doing more harm than good. Adele came into Progressive Medical Center in a walker, physically and mentally exhausted. But now she's a world traveler. She hikes and walks several miles a day, and it's all thanks to Progressive Medical Center. 770-676-6000. 770-676-6000.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.